unless you just decide you're going to be miserable, that's on you. But I have heard J. Tom Morgan speak before, and those of us who've heard him speak have really wanted to get him back in our community. I heard him speak many years ago at a state PTA convention, and my kids were in elementary school then, so it's been a day or two. And we made my older son go hear him when he spoke out here in Gwinnett County the next year. If you've ever met my oldest son, he was kind of a dumb 13-year-old. And I wanted him to hear what Mr. Morgan had to say, and it's something that he remembered and hopefully kept him out of trouble. We love our Parkview community, and anything that we can do to help make our kids better and more informed and help to improve the community that you live in, we feel like that is a good mission of our PTSA. I want to give a brief introduction. He told me not to talk long, and so I won't. J. Tom is a native of Albany, Georgia. After graduating from Albany Junior College, J. Tom received his undergraduate degree in accounting cum laude from the University of Georgia in 1977 and his law degree from the University of Georgia School of Law in 1980. Cue the Bulldogs. No one's going to yell, okay. Usually you guys are noisy. J. Tom Morgan is a nationally recognized expert on the prosecution of crimes against children. He served as the district attorney of DeKalb County for 12 years and was the first prosecutor in Georgia to specialize in the prosecution of crimes against children. He is currently a trial lawyer in private practice in Decatur, Georgia, specializing in criminal and civil litigation. He is also a professor at Western Carolina University, where he teaches criminal law, criminal procedure, theories of crimes, American courts, introduction to criminal justice, and ethics in criminal justice. He has dedicated his career to child advocacy and is committed to helping young people avoid being both victims and perpetrators of crimes. He has spoken to tens of thousands of teenagers and parents regarding Georgia laws that impact young people and has listened to their stories. The insights he has gained from speaking with teenagers, as well as his experience as a prosecutor and private attorney, inspired him to write Ignorance is No Defense, A Teenager's Guide to Georgia Law. He also has brought some books tonight. If you're interested in purchasing a book at the end, will be out there. They're $10 a piece. As a prosecutor, he prosecuted teenagers who violated the law. He also helped young people who were victims of abuse and prosecuted the abusers. As a private attorney, he defends teenagers who are in trouble with the law. Realizing that many teenagers often do not fully understand the law and its consequences, J. Tom explains Georgia laws in a readable, informative way using real-life examples. Ignorance is No Defense aspires to help teenagers avoid situations in which they violate the law or are hurt by others who violate the law. Without further ado, J. Tom Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. I want to thank you all, thank Charles and Warren and Gordon for their generous contribution of sponsoring the program this evening. Warren and I had the privilege of working together in a law firm a few years ago, and we have remained friends since. First of all, young people, I want to see the whites of your eyes. So if you would move down front. If you're with your parents, get your parents to hear, because this program is for you. Your parents can listen in, but if you are under the age of 21, I'd need to see you here. Thank you so much. Parents, we are not totally ignoring you. Usually what happens is that I speak to the students during assemblies during the day, and then I speak to the parents in the evening. So for this program, we join both the parents and the students. So parents, from time to time, I am going to say, let's step out of the box a minute. And that means my comments are directed toward you, Because you and I need to have a discussion tonight. Because I can assure you our parents will never have put home to us the laws that we have passed on to this generation. And I'm going to talk about some of those laws this evening. But let us begin. It was a gorgeous night in October. It was an afternoon before the rivalry football game. Two high schools were getting ready to play each other that evening, and two boys who attended the same high school but who were strangers to each other, who did not know each other's names. One boy being 14, the other boy being 15, passed each other in the stairwell between the fourth and fifth period, so they bumped into each other. They did this. And instead of saying, hey, excuse me, I'm sorry, and apologizing one to the other as polite human beings should do, or just keeping their mouths shut and going on about their business. Words were exchanged, and heated words were exchanged, and insults were exchanged, and the two boys decided they would take their differences out on the school grounds. And just like when your parents and I were growing up, word got out there's going to be a fight. And the students spilled out on the ground before the faculty and administration could even know what was going on, and the students circled the two young warriors. Now the 15-year-old boy, he actually turned to walk away. He said, this is dumb, this is stupid, I need to go into class. But the students around him, his peers, his so-called friends, called him coward, called him a sissy, used words, young men, that you and I both know insulted his manhood. So he got back into the fight. And a few moments later, the 14-year-old, he pulled out a penknife, he stabbed the 15-year-old in the heart, and the boy died right there on the school grounds. I attended this autopsy. And let me just say that autopsies of children and teenagers are memories I'll never forget. As I was standing over his body, I forgot the guy would open his chest. Dr. Gallagher said, J-Tom, it probably took about 2 minutes for the blood to leak out of his aorta before he passed away. And that was corroborated by the students at the scene who said that after he was stabbed, he was speaking for a few moments before he lost consciousness. Now, when that horrible tragedy occurred in our community, the Georgia legislature had just passed a law called the 7 Deadly Sins. And the 7 Deadly Sins law states this: it is the toughest, let's get tough on juveniles in the entire country. The law says this: if you're 13 years of age or older, as young as the age of 13, and if you commit one of the 7 deadly sins, you have to be arrested just as any adult would be. You have to be prosecuted just as any adult would be. And if found guilty by a jury of adults, you must be sentenced to the same prison time as if you were an adult. It is the toughest, let's get tough on juvenile crime law in the country. So this 14-year-old boy is not tried in the privacy of juvenile court. He is tried in superior court, where adults are tried for felony crimes. And the jury came back with a verdict of guilty of felony murder. Now, felony murder is unique to our country. No other country has felony murder, and not every state has felony murder, but we do here in Georgia. So this evening I must give you a couple of law school lessons. This is what I teach my students. Felony murder means that if a person is committing a crime for which the punishment for that crime is a felony, and another human being dies, you're automatically guilty of murder, even though you did not have the malice and forethought to kill another human being. The way I was taught in law school, an armed robber, he goes into a convenience store, he trips, he drops the gun accidentally goes off and kills a patron in the store. He is now automatically guilty of murder, because while he was committing the crime of armed robbery, another human being died. And let's tweak that story a little bit. Let's put a 15-year-old as the lookout and a 16-year-old as the getaway driver. Now the 15 and 16-year-old, they too are guilty of murder. We call that parties to a crime. Every person who participates in a crime is as guilty as every other person who participated in a crime. I was involved in a case last year with a student from Decatur High School and a student from Lakeside High School. There was a drug deal that had gone bad, and the drug dealer ended up getting killed. And my client said, well, I didn't do it. I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. You're guilty of murder because you were participating in the drug deal, which is a felony, and now both boys are serving life sentences. So this young man, he is found guilty of felony murder. And at the same time we passed the 7 Deadly Sin law, we passed another law. When I first started as a prosecutor in DeKalb County, if you were found guilty of murder, you technically could get a parole hearing in 7 years. No longer, no one regardless of their age, regardless of their situation, can get a parole now for 30 years. So this 14-year-old boy will be 44 years old before his first chance to get out of the Georgia prison system. I know that case well. I know the parents of the 15-year-old who lost their only child to a totally dumb and senseless act. Can you imagine, as a parent, sending your child to school in the morning and the next time you see him is lying in a casket in a funeral home? I know the parents of the 14-year-old who, for all intents and purposes, have lost their only son for the next 3 decades. Because the only time they will see him is when they go down to Reedsville State Prison, look at him on the other side of the plexiglass wall, and talk with him on the two-way telephone saying, "How you doing, son?" The boy will turn into a man on the other side of the prison walls. I know that case well because I prosecuted the 14-year-old. It was the first time in Georgia history that a teenager has been tried and convicted and then sentenced to life under our 7 deadly sin law. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Jay Tom, by the way, if you haven't figured out, I'm from South Georgia where double names like Billy Bob names who are common to mom and just named me Jay Tom. So my first name is Jay Tom. You see, well, Jay Tom, that's a horrible case. But you know, Parkview is such an outstanding school. We have outstanding students. We send our seniors to the best colleges in the United States. We don't have to worry about the 7 deadly sins. And I hope not. But in a few moments, we'll talk about what some of those 7 deadly sins are. In the back of the book that Ms. Hall talked about, I took some time, I came up with what you probably have done in school, a timeline. But this is a timeline, we call it the age of responsibility chart. And what I did, I looked at every law that impacts you from the day you're born until the day you turn 21. So let's briefly go over that chart. You're born, that's a good thing. On your 13th birthday, the first day you start that adolescent teenage journey, you have to be prosecuted as an adult for the 7 deadly sins. On your 14th birthday, if your parents are divorced, you can petition the court to have custody changed and go live with the other parent. On your 15th birthday, you can now drive a car, but only under the supervision of a guardian or parent. And now on your 16th birthday, you can drive that car, as you know, without a parent, but you have restrictions. You cannot drive after midnight or before 6 a.m. for any reason, including sports events, prom, any reason. You're limited on the number of drivers that you can have until your 18th birthday. Now, parents, let's just step out of the box a minute. Do we really care about these children? Do we care that they are protected on our roads? Because there's an easy way. As you know, if you pay their insurance, what the insurance is of a young person from 16 to 25. And that's because more than 50% of all fatalities in our country involve a driver in that age group. So we can do what most countries do. Let's just raise the driving age. Let's just raise the driving age. New York is now 17. My nephews who live in Arizona, they're looking at raising it to 18. So parents ask me all the time, Jay Tom, if we should raise the driving age to give the kids another opportunity, more experience driving, what should it be? Well, I've raised a daughter and a son. And for girls, I think the driving age should be about 18. And for boys, it should be about 30. At 16, you can engage in consensual sexual activity as long as your sex partner is also 16, as long as it's consensual. At 17, you have to be arrested and prosecuted as an adult for all crimes. And we'll get back to 17 in just a minute. But the 18-year-old seniors here at Parkview, what do we say about 18? Well, we say at 18, you're old enough, wise enough, smart enough, mature enough to walk out of this building tomorrow and sign up and fight and die for our country in Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria or wherever we happen to be fighting. You do not need your parental permission to sacrifice your life for the United States of America when you turn 18. At 18, we say you're old enough, wise enough, smart enough, mature enough to vote and decide who should lead this country. This was all says. I'm a college professor. And so I have a lot of discussion with politics with my students. And I say, don't tell me about the leadership of this country if you did not participate in that right to vote. Because we know that more than 75% of voters 18 to 25 had a different choice for president, but we know that only 30% of them bothered to take the time to vote. At 18, we tell our young women, you're old enough, wise enough, smart enough, mature enough to have an abortion without telling your parents. At 18, you can get up, walk out of the house, and get married without parental permission. I highly advise against that. But you're old enough to do so. At 18, you're emancipated from your parents. You can get up and walk out of the house and say, Mom, Dad, I love you. It's been nice knowing you, but I'm out of here. But let me tell you, Mom and Dad, and I should have put this on. Say, Mom and Dad, it's been nice knowing you. I'm out of here. But your parents can say, well, goodbye, good riddance, and leave the keys on the table when you walk out the door. Your parents are not obligated to give you another dime after your 18th birthday. Hopefully they will continue to do so, particularly if you follow the rules and regulation and continue your education. But Mom and Dad are not obligated to do so. So you can do everything that every other adult in Georgia can do at 18, but one thing, which is what? Drink. Let's go back to 17. Two girls are at the Target on Druid Hills Road right before you get on 85. One girl is 16 years, 11 months, and 20 days old. She is with her best friend who's just had her 17th birthday. 10 days difference in the two girls' ages. And they walk out to Target, and both girls are immediately arrested for shoplifting. Now let's stop right now. Shoplifting is so dumb on so many levels. One, it's immoral. You shouldn't steal. Two, it's against the law. But three, you will be caught. Target, Macy's, Walmart, Nordstrom's, Lowe's, Home Depot. They all have high-definition cameras now that record everything that you do when you are in their store. I had a case last spring at a Walmart up in North Carolina where I now live and also practice law. And the manager took me through the store, and this Walmart in this little town has 230 cameras in the store watching every movement. And behind the back wall is a bank of store detectives who are watching. And if you make it past the cash register, the next time you're at a Walmart or you're at a Target, follow the light pole up, because Big Brother is watching you. And is that for your safety and security? No. It's to get your car tag as you're driving away. I represented a student from one of the Cobb County high schools, football player. He thought he'd gotten by with stealing some athletic shoes. But they got his mama's car tag, and when he got home, the cops were waiting for him. Can you imagine that? Mom and Dad give you the money for the athletic shoes, and you're not going to practice because the police are taking you to jail for stealing them. And by the way, the coach kicked him off the team for being dishonest. Well, let's go back. So the two girls are arrested. The parents call me, and they say, Mr. Morgan, we understand you represent young people who have gotten in trouble. I said, that's a small part of my practice and my livelihood, but I enjoy doing so. Bring your girls in. Maybe I can use their story in a book sometime. So they bring the girls in, and I meet with them privately, and then I meet with the parents. And I said, Mom and Dad, I got some good news for you. I got some bad news. The good news is this: your girls are not going to jail. One's a straight A student, one's an AB student, one's on student council, one is a cheerleader. They've never had any problem with the law before, not even a school disciplinary proceeding. This is not the type of case where you go to jail for your first offense. But we got some bad news. We have got to plead guilty. I'm a good lawyer, but I'm not a magician. I cannot make their video of them committing the crime go away. So let's look at the 16-year, 11-month, and 20-day-old. We went to juvenile court. When we walked in the juvenile courtroom, the sheriff's bailiff locked the door behind me. Why? Because in our criminal justice system, juvenile court is a secret chamber. No one is allowed in the juvenile courtroom but the judge, the parents, the child's lawyer, and the prosecutor. It is secret. No one can see what's going on. We keep the press, we keep the public out of it. And the judge walked in, we stand up, and said, Mr. Morgan, what does your client want to do today? I said, Your Honor, I have gone over the charges with her, I've gone over the evidence with her, and she is willing and ready to accept responsibility. Now, let me just tell you, in most cases, if you're charged with a crime and you're guilty of the crime, in most cases, the better choice is to accept responsibility. However, never plead guilty to anything without consulting a lawyer first. Now, this judge, Unfortunately, he passed away very unexpectedly from a blood clot after back surgery, but he had gone to Washington State. And there they were starting something called Restorative Justice, which actually started on the Indian reservations. And this is something that may reach Georgia by the time I have great-great-grandchildren. The idea of restorative justice is that offenders should be punished, but we are a community of people, and the community of people need to get together and find a solution without so hurting the offender that it will make such a difference in their life for the rest of their life. So the judge gave her the following punishment: 12 months probation, $30 a month probation supervision fee, 3 random times she has to pee into a cup to be tested for alcohol and drugs. But the amazing part of his sentence, he said, "Young woman, I want you to write in your own handwriting a 3-page apology letter to the manager of Target. And I've already called him, and you are to make an appointment, and I want you to sit down in his office and read him your apology." And she did so. Now, I wish I'd been there. I understand it was very emotional. And after she read the letter, the manager offered her a job. And she ended up working there for the rest of her senior year. Now, that's what I call restorative justice. Now, let's go back to the 17-year-old. We didn't go to juvenile court. You know why? Because unfortunately for her parents, she chose to raise her in the state of Georgia. There are only 4 states in the United States of America that mandate that every 17-year-old be prosecuted as an adult, and you are in one of those 4 states. And if I was king for a day, that's the first law I would change. Mary Margaret Oliver from Decatur introduced the bill to make Georgia with the rest of the country so that 17-year-olds would be treated as a juvenile, as their peers are in the other states. But the district attorney, a friend of mine from Gwinnett County, Danny Porter, and the DAs opposed it, and the legislature did not go with it. So that we're still one of only 4 states. And let me tell you, young people, it's not fair to you, because you have to compete. You have to compete with teenagers all over this country for undergrad, grad school, jobs. And if you do something in your 17th year of life that causes you to get arrested, it will stay with you for the rest of your life. So understand that at 17 in this date, you are an adult. Now, I'm going to ask to come talk to you about 3 very mature subjects: sex, alcohol, and drugs. Or we can do drugs, alcohol, sex. Or we can do alcohol, drugs. It doesn't matter to me. But it kind of does matter to me, because I just realized my cell phone is losing power, and there's something I need to read you that I haven't memorized. So let's start with drugs, okay? I'll never forget, our book came out, the first edition, in 2007. And a fraternity brother of mine, who was principal in school up in North Georgia, called me and said, "Jay Tom, I just read your book. Would you like to come talk to my students?" And it kind of scared me to death. I said, "I've never talked to students before." He said, "What are you going to talk about?" I said, "What do you want me to talk about?" He said, "Well, how about to talk about subjects that are important to them, such as alcohol, drugs, sex?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, but let me tell you what else I'm going to do. This is a small school, and most of our students have never met a lawyer before. And we're up here in the hills, and I'm going to let them have as much time as they want to ask you questions. And in fact, what I'm going to do, if you permit it, is allow the students to write their questions on 3x5 index cards and tell them they don't have to sign their name. And would you be willing to read the card out loud?" I said, "Sure, it sounds like law school Jeopardy." Never did that again. The very first card. If you come up to Western Carolina University and come into my office at 410 D Bell, there's a 3x5 card in a small frame, written in number 2 print pencil, which my guess is a male handwriting, and it said, "Mr. Morgan, did you ever smoke weed?" And I thought, great. I can exercise my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Or I can say, "Hey, you know, the statute of limitations is so long past, we can forget about it." Or I can say, "You know what, I'm no longer in politics. And it's about time that my generation have an open and honest discussion with your generation. And so for the first time publicly, I said, yeah, you know what, I may have been president of the student body at the University of Georgia, but I also smoked marijuana with my frat brothers. And I was in good company, because now we know that President Clinton, President Obama, and President Bush all admitted smoking marijuana when they were in college. Does that make it a good thing? No, but it means let's have an open discussion. What I'm telling my students is when you look at laws, you need to understand how we got there. Now, in 2007, when I gave that first talk, there was not a state in the country that had legalized marijuana. And now we are in a situation where 9 states have legalized marijuana, including our nation's capital, the Washington, D.C. 30 states have legalized it for medical use. So, what am I supposed to tell you young people? Well, let's go back. So at one time in our country, marijuana was legal. If you can believe that, marijuana was legal. In fact, my daughter, who went to Emory Med School, got me copies of prescriptions from Georgia doctors at Emory Medical School prescribing marijuana for their patients. But something happened in the 1930s. Prohibition ended. And you say, what on earth does prohibition ending have anything to do with marijuana? Prohibition prohibited alcohol. Well, Harry Anslinger, who was head of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms at the time, he needed a new cause. So he went before Congress and his buddies and testified before Congress to get a bill passed that would, for the first time in our country, make marijuana illegal. And this was 1937. And I want to read you, before it dies, I'll pull this off this morning. This is from the Congressional Record of the United States of America. It's our public record. It is part of our history. And this is what Mr. Anslinger said. There are 100,000 total marijuana smokers in the U.S., and most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz, and swing result from marijuana use. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and others. Reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. The next day, the United States Congress, being all white males, voted to criminalize marijuana. And that's how we ended up where we are today. Now, I'm not here to debate whether or not marijuana should or should not be legal, but I think you need to understand the consequences. And I'll be honest with you. When we look at 3 drugs, well, we can add a 4th one, opioids, nicotine, methamphetamine, alcohol. Those are all highly addictive drugs. In fact, the CDC says that nicotine is the most addictive of all drugs. My mother was a 2-pack-a-day habit from the time she was 15 to 50, and I watched her die of lung cancer. Don't go there. Don't go there. Marijuana is a drug, and drugs cause us, all of us, to have certain impact. I'll be honest with you, tonight, I just got back to Georgia. I'm going to spend the night in Decatur, then head back to my cabin tomorrow. And when I leave you, I may walk over to my favorite watering hole. And if there are 2 jerks in there who happen to want to fight me, maybe because we have political differences, one who's been drinking too much and one who's been smoking weed, I know which one this South Georgia boy wants to get in a fight with. The guy who has been drinking too much thinks he's bigger, stronger, uglier, tougher, and sings better karaoke than anybody on the planet. The guy who's been smoking weed will want to give me a brownie, a hug, and take a nap. Again, it's how the drugs impact you. So what am I supposed to do with really outstanding students? I've had the privilege of my closest friends, children going through Parkview. I have had the privilege of being here before through social media. I have contact with Parkview alum, and you are a special class of people. And to you, I got to tell you this. A drug conviction will still have a serious impact. And here's the crazy part. Here in Gwinnett County, if you get popped with weed, you will be arrested, you will be taken to court, you will have a conviction for violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. You will have 12 months probation, you will have to have a drug test every 30 days, you will pay a hellacious fine, you will have to have a drug alcohol evaluation. And if you fail a drug test, you will go to jail. That's Gwinnett County. If you get popped in the city of Atlanta, you will get a piece of paper that tells you to come to court, and you'll be paid $25 and it'll be over with. That is the difference. And again, what am I supposed to tell you is don't make a stupid choice. Be careful and know that still in the state, in most places, it's very illegal and it can cause you serious problems. So let's go to alcohol. I played my last high school football game on a Friday night. Yes, dinosaurs were still roaming the earth. I know. The next day, I turned 18 years old, and I could walk into any bar in Albany, Georgia, and order a beer, and I did. I went to May's Oyster Bar and ordered a dozen raw oysters and a pitcher of beer, and they both were delicious. What was our mantra back then? 1973, 1972, 73. United States government, if I'm old enough for you to draft me and send me to Vietnam to die for my country, I'm old enough to order a beer. So what happened? Vietnam ended, thank God. The draft ended. Now Congress cannot tell the 50 states to raise the drinking age to 21. What Congress did do was tell the 50 states, if you raise the drinking age to 21, we are going to take away the money we give you for your highways and bridges. That's how the United States of America became one of only 4 countries on planet Earth where you have to be 21 to consume alcohol. The other 3 countries, Palau, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Now, what on earth we have in those 3 countries in common? I have no idea, except we're the 4th that you have to be 21. Now, when we raised the drinking age to 21, every state has a different quirks, and so let me just talk to you about Georgia's. In Georgia, we have 2 exceptions, okay? The first is church. If you're Catholic or Episcopalian, you may have wine at communion, perfectly legal. If you're of the Jewish faith, you may have wine at Friday night Shabbat, perfectly legal. The other way, and I'm glad your parents are here to hear this, if your parents so choose, they can teach you how to consume alcohol in moderation before you turn 21, but it has to be in the privacy of your home. It cannot be in anyone else's home. And it can only be you. Let me explain. Let's say your parents, best friends, get together for Thanksgiving dinner, and they both have 20-year-old children. And one of those 20-year-olds will not be able to have a glass of wine at Thanksgiving because it's not her home. Parents ask me all the time, well, Jay, we were not aware of that exception under Georgia law. If we so choose to teach our young person, our young adult, on how to consume alcohol before they go off to college, what age can we do so? I said, interestingly, Georgia law doesn't tell us. It leaves it up to the parents. I just tell you what I did in my home. As I said, I've had the privilege of raising 2 children. They both went to Decatur High School. And when they were 18 years old, I said, hey, you want a glass of wine with Dad at dinner? Maybe I can teach you what wines go best with what food. If you want a glass of beer while we're watching the Georgia Bulldogs, let's have one together. The way Georgia played Alabama in the national championship, we needed more than 1 beer. If you want to toast the new year with a glass of champagne, do it under Dad's home with Dad's supervision, and let's hold hands and pray that the next year will bring us more joy and happiness than the year before. But you obviously cannot go out and get in the car. My daughter, she took advantage of Dad's offer. And I can assure you, the young woman has never had a problem with alcohol. She graduated from Davidson College with honors, Emory Medical School with honors. She finished her residency at UCSF and is now doing a fellowship at Harvard. You don't get there with an alcohol problem. My son, on the other hand, when he turned 18, I gave him a beer. He said, Dad, I don't like the taste of alcohol. I said, son, that's great. You're going to be the designated driver. Let's look at how young people get in trouble with alcohol in Georgia. Young man, he's 20 years old. He's a student at the University of Georgia, my alma mater. He had just spent the summer in Athens, Greece, where he can drink at 18. But now he's in Athens, Georgia, and I guess he just had a brain fart, which Athens he was in, right? So he's at the Arches, there on Broad Street, but he doesn't quite make it to the arches where the crosswalk is. He doesn't see anybody coming, and so he jaywalks across Broad. And a police officer sees him and says, "Son, come over here." And he does. "What is your name?" Now, if a police officer asks your name, you must give your truthful name. The U.S. Supreme Court has said so. He says his name. And then the young man, the officer says to him, "Son, have you been drinking? How old are you?" Now, at that point, my client could exercise his Fifth Amendment right and remain silent. Or he can say, "Officer, before I answer your questions, I would like to speed dial my who? Lawyer." You cannot call your parents, but you can call your lawyer. Somebody said that 20% of the students at the University of Georgia are on their speed dial, which does not make me feel great, but... Or you can keep talking. But if you keep talking, you must tell the truth. You can never lie to a police officer. Okay? So, he says, "Yes." "Well, let me see your ID." And he reaches in his pocket, he pulls out his wallet, and what's the first thing he pulls out? Come on. A fake ID. Why do you put your fake ID as your driver's license in the first place? So now we have a fake ID, we have minor possession of alcohol, but what started all of this in the first place? Jaywalking, which is a misdemeanor. Now, this is very technical, but let me explain it to you. Last time I was at Parkview High School, if a police officer smelled alcohol on your breath and nothing more, you were taken to jail and arrested. Well, a bunch of us got together and said, "You know what? Young people in Georgia are getting arrest records where they are not in almost every other college town in this country. In North Carolina, you cannot arrest a student for possession of alcohol and nothing else." So we got the law changed, but you got to be very careful here. Now the law has changed that if you're under 21 and the only thing you're guilty of is possession of alcohol, the police officer can no longer arrest you. You can only write you a citation and you come to court, which protects you from your record and your mugshot being everywhere. However, if you're committing any other crimes, such as jaywalking, such as fake ID, the officer will take you to jail, you will have a mugshot, and you will have an arrest record for the rest of your life. So be aware. Now, when we're talking about alcohol, I want to address two things kind of out of order. DUI. Fortunately, research has shown that DUI in Georgia, as well as most other places, especially in the Atlanta area and Athens, has gone down tremendously, particularly in the last 3 years. And the greatest reason is what? Uber. Parents, if your child doesn't have Uber on their phone, just put it on there. And just sync it to your credit card. I've got a 31 and a 28-year-old, and I still pay for their daggone Uber. But you know what? When it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I get a ping on my phone, I know my daughter is home safe from the hospital. It's actually a good feeling. And kids know that. Your parents can know, yes, you just took an Uber home, but your parent will be very grateful for it. Know this, though, in Georgia, and it's a kind of a quirk, is that we have a .02. If you're under 21 and you have .02 alcohol or greater, you're automatically DUI. What young people don't understand is how little that is. Long story, but I just had open heart surgery 3 months ago, and I lost 25 pounds. But in doing so, I'm 175 pounds. And at 175 pounds, when I leave you tonight, if I have one beer, I would be over .02. And if I was under 21, I would be DUI. Now, I'm not going to drive anyway, but that's how little it takes. At my body weight, one beer, and I would be DUI if I'm under 21. And parents, what I really think we ought to do is the same thing North Carolina did, where I also practice law. North Carolina has zero tolerance. If you have any alcohol on your breath and you're under 21, it's automatically DUI. We don't try to mess around with, well, you can have one beer business. And North Carolina has a much lower rate of DUI under 21 than we do, because of zero tolerance. Students are taught at 16, any alcohol on your breath and you're under 21, you're automatically DUI. And let me tell you the consequences. Minimum 24 hours in jail, loss of your license for 12 months, a drug alcohol evaluation, 40 hours of community service, but most what will impact you is the 300% increase in your insurance rates until your 25th birthday. But the Uber on you out. Now, my law partner and I last night, we almost came to blows over what on earth the new cell phone statute says. It is the most poorly written piece of legislation, and it applies to all of us in this room, but this is what I glean out of it. None of us can hold the cell phone when we're automobile or have it in our lap. It can only be mounted, okay? Rule number one, you cannot hold a cell phone. To do so is a misdemeanor. The only time you can use a cell phone is to watch the GPS that you have already put the address in before you started the car, or you can voice activate it, okay? You can voice activate it. And what I finally figured out that means is that if my phone is mounted, I still have to press Siri to, say, call my paralegal, but it's okay to press the button as long as I'm not holding it. Why that is so important is that, one, you don't want points on your license, but this is also very important, is if you're in an accident, and they can show you had that phone, that you were texting, you were emailing, it was in your hand, your liability is it. You, your parents, your insurance will suffer tremendous punitive damages for violating that law. So don't do it. Put the phone up. It would just been easier. The law used to be if you were under 18, you couldn't use a phone for any reason. Now, if you're under 18, technically you can. My advice would be don't. You don't need to be distracted. But adults, none of us can now have a cell phone in our hand or in our lap while we're driving an automobile. If you're familiar with Chamblee High School, Chamblee is one of the top schools in DeKalb County. It's one of our magnet schools. Young man is 17 years old, so he's now what, under Georgia law? He's an adult, very good, paying attention. And his next door neighbor's first cousin, 16-year-old female from Augusta, Richmond County, comes over to spend the summer with her extended family, and boy and girl meet. And during the course of their summer romance, they engage in both intercourse and oral sex. And now it's time to go back to their schools. And by the way, he's at the top of this game. He's the top athlete and he's top academically. He goes back to Chamblee and she goes back to Augusta. But one day, while she is at school, her mother's cleaning her daughter's room and she finds her daughter's journal. And in her journal, this young woman has put in explicit detail what she did during her summer vacation in Atlanta. It will pale 50 Shades of Grey. Mom reads it, and the dad reads it, and the daughter comes home, and as you can imagine, a nuclear explosion goes off in that house. Mom and Dad, how can you do this? How can you invade my privacy? How can you search my room without my permission? Well, time out. Let's go back to our timeline. What's your birthday? Are you emancipated? 18. Before you're 18, your parents can search your room. They can search your journal, they can search your iPhone, they can search your iPad, they can search your iMac, they can search your backpack. They can search your car. They can pick your body up and take your body to the doctor and say, doctor, search his body for alcohol and drugs. You don't have any rights to search and seizure from your parents until you're emancipated on the 18th birthday. So they bring her back to DeKalb County. She tearfully goes before a magistrate court judge to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and she must answer honestly so she does not commit the crime of perjury. And then the judge answers some very embarrassing questions about her personal sex life. And then the judge signs arrest warrants for child molestation, aggravated child molestation, statutory rape, sexual exploitation of children. The DeKalb Sheriff's deputies go to Chamblee High School. They walk into his second period English class. They put him in handcuffs in front of his peers. They walk him out. We call that the perp walk. They put him in the car and they take him to the DeKalb County Jail. The next time you're on 285, you get to Memorial Drive and look up. That is the biggest jail this side of the Mississippi River. It holds over 3,000 inmates. I've had the privilege of prosecuting 2 sheriffs who ended up inmates in that jail. So what went wrong here? By the way, he had to be in there for 2 weeks before his parents could get him a bond because he's charged with such serious sex crimes. And what went wrong here? He's 17, she's 16. What's the problem? She lied. She wasn't 16. She was 15, almost 16. But sex crimes are strict liability crimes. When I teach my students, a strict liability crime means it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter what you know, it doesn't matter what you're told, it doesn't matter if he or she looks like they're 21 years old. And young women, did you hear what I said? He or she. When I was growing up, only boys could get charged with sex crimes. No bar. As in 1994, when we raised the age of consensual sex from 14 to 16, we made Georgia a gender-neutral state. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if I change that story around and made the girl 17 and the boy 15 lie about his age to have sex with a 17-year-old girl, shock of shocks. The girl will be charged with child molestation, aggravated child molestation, statutory rape. 2007, I went to the Darlington School, and I've been invited back every year. I'm going back in a couple of weeks because they were our test project. And what we did, we gave the seniors a test. And on the test, there were 10 questions regarding Georgia sex crimes. And 98% of the seniors missed every question, which let me know that in our state, we, educators, parents, lawyers, have done a horrible job teaching you what the law is in this area. So let's just have a very adult-to-adult conversation. Child molestation. 16-year-old boy places his hands on the breast of a 15-year-old girl. That's child molestation. 16-year-old girl places her hands on the penis of a 15-year-old boy. That's child molestation. 16-year-old boy or girl has intercourse with a 15-year-old boy or girl. That's statutory rape. 16-year-old boy or girl has oral sex with a 15-year-old boy or girl. That's aggravated child molestation. And let's stop right now because I've just drawn a circle around my favorite high school. Aggravated child molestation is a 7 deadly sin, which means if you're 13 years of age or older, you have to be prosecuted as an adult. Let me make sure you understand what I'm saying. 2 years ago, we had a case over there in, I guess it's Milton, Johns Creek area, at the Regal Cinema. It's at night, 4 teenagers, 2 16-year-olds and 2 15-year-olds go to the movie. The 16-year-olds go inside the movie, the 15-year-olds get in the back seat. They're caught by the Johns Creek police having oral sex. Which one gets prosecuted, the boy or the girl? Both. Remember, it's gender neutral. Which one is prosecuted as an adult? And now will have a sex crime conviction on the record for the rest of their life. Both. Both. Now, in most states, sex between teenagers is something that's dealt with parents, church, your own self. In Georgia, we make it a crime. In North Carolina, if I'd given you the same scenario with the 2 kids in the back seat, it's not a crime. In Georgia, it is. And it's a sex crime, and you've got to be aware of it. Let me explain to you how important this is. There's a case out of Gwinnett County that I have worked on. Teenager from 19-year-old from University of Georgia swimmer. She comes back to Gwinnett County. She is working as a lifeguard in one of your nice communities, gated communities, in a private pool. There's a young man who has moved into the community, and he starts flirting with her, hitting on her, and he tells her that he's 17, almost 18, and she said, J-Tom, he looked older than 18. And they end up having a sexual relationship. And she gets a phone call at the pool one day. She gets a phone call at the pool from the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department. Says, young lady, do you mind stopping by on your way home from work today? Well, what's this about? Well, just stop by and let's have a chat. Should I call my parents? Well, you're an adult, are you? 19. You don't need to call your parents. Listen carefully. If a police officer calls you up to a chat and says you don't need to call your parents, call your parents. Call your parents. Okay? Because your parents, the first thing they'll do is pick up the phone and call a lawyer. And this is the daughter of one of my closest fraternity brothers, and I knew he would have called me immediately. But she says, okay, I'll stop by. And she comes in. Now, Miranda does not apply the Miranda warning. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. You can exercise these rights at any time. They don't apply here because she's not under arrest. And they start talking about this relationship. And she admits it. She's married. She's red. And she said, well, what's the problem? I said, now, young lady, we do have to arrest you. And we have to put you in cuffs and strip you down before we put you in the cell. Because he has been lying to you. He is not 17. He's 15, almost 16. Now, parents, this is the world we created for these children. Do you know what the minimum amount of time she has to serve in prison for that crime? 30 years. And a sex offender registry for the rest of her life. That is what we have put on this generation. It's time we took a serious look. Now, these things have gotten more of my clients in trouble. Okay? Let me just say very quickly. As you know, we've been through it. The age of consensual sex is 16. But an 18-year-old convinces his 17-year-old girlfriend to take her top off, and he takes a picture of her breasts. What do we have now? Child pornography. 20-year felony. Okay? And under Georgia law, a picture of anyone under the age of 18, not 16, exposing any area of nudity of breast, body, genitalia is child pornography. To possess it is a 20-year felony. To send it is a 20-year felony. And now, you don't need to hear this, but I need to tell the guy something right now because I just had a client in my office this afternoon. He is a freshman in college. He's in his dorm room by himself, and he goes on these web pages, and he's doing a search for hot teenage girls. Okay. He's looking for age appropriate. He's 18, he's looking for 18, 19-year girls. Well, when you put in those search terms, what else are you going to get? 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. And when you do that, the feds have put what we call tags on those images, and they can go to the IP address. And when that image is looked at, it is now on your computer or on your cell phone, and each image is a 20-year felony. He said, Mr. Morgan, I was not looking for 13 and 14-year-olds, but they came in my computer. I said, well, did you click on the image? Yes, I did to see it. And once he did, he now has over 30 counts of possession of child pornography. So, be careful. Again, don't be stupid. The other thing, I'll leave you with this, is that, now when I was growing up, some guy's talking to your girlfriend a little too long, you walk up to him and say, hey, you and I need to talk after school today. Too easy for you guys. You know, all you have to do is pull out your cell phone and type a message. I'm going to whoop your ass. And as soon as you hit that send button, you just created a 5-year felony called terroristic threats. To send a threatening message, you don't have to threaten murder, just bodily harm. Injury to another person is a terroristic threat. Follow what some of our, Harry Truman, one of our great presidents, long before Al Gore invented the internet, Mr. Truman said, if you're mad at someone and you write them a letter, put it in your pocket for 3 days, then take it out and read it before you mail it. You know, for all of us, before we send that text message, before we send that email that makes us think, maybe this is not the best idea, we ought to put it in that draft folder and hold it for a few days before we actually send it. So I've hit y'all with a lot of information tonight. So in conclusion, just be careful, be safe, be happy, and thank you so much for inviting me back to Parkview. Thank you, Charles and Lauren. Yes, I have some time for some questions. So I don't know if I do or not, but I'll be glad to answer it. Yes, ma'am. No, it's under 18. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of 18, 19-year-olds at Athens using it. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Hey, I have a question. Can you run down if a police will stop you on the stop you in the car, or stop you in the car, and he tells you, goes through a question, your driver's license, you ask him why to stop you, you say, tell him how to us or not over, and you do it over. How can you run down?
Very, very quickly, I saw a great meme today that made me think about coming back to Atlanta. Officer stops a young man and he says to the officer says, I need you to get out of the car. He says, it's too hot, why don't you come in and have a seat? So an officer must have what we call a reasonable suspicion to stop someone, okay? Unless it is, say, a DUI checkpoint. You just can't stop people for no reason at all, believe it or not. And when an officer stops you, though, you must give your driver's license. You have to give your driver's license. You must give your name, but you don't have to do anything. Now, the officer can order you out of the car for his safety, or he can let you stay in the car. But once he starts talking to you, you don't have to tell the officer where you're going, where you've been, who your daddy is, or anything, okay? But you must show your license. You must show your insurance card, sometimes a registration if there's a conflict with it. But that's all you are required to do. Now, if an officer has probable cause that you've been drinking, then the officer can ask you to take the field sobriety test. You're not required to do so. You're not required to take field sobriety test, but the officer will make you think you're required to do so. But you can refuse the field sobriety test, that cannot be used against you. If the officer arrests you for probable cause of DUI and you refuse then it will be used against you and you lose your license for a year. I do not go into that with teenagers because they shouldn't be drinking anyway, being behind a car. That's our congressional record. Just Google Harry Anslinger, A-N-S-L-I-N-G-E-R, and that site will come up. Harry, he was the head of our tobacco, alcohol, and firearms in 1937. Anslinger, A-N-S-L-I-N-G-E-R. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be around if you have any questions.